there's this team called the Lakers. I don't know if you are familiar.
Yeah, isn't
Used to be in
Jackson Hayes is on
Minneapolis.
that team, right?
Yes,
The Jackson
correct.
Hayes team. Okay.
Uh-huh. They so two just really two things here. I, I guess I don't know how much more like championship equity to kind of piggyback off the last little Knicks point the Lakers have, but it does through the early going feel to me like they're quite a bit better than some of the teams that we thought maybe they'd be kind of knocking around against for the 7, 8, 9, 10 spots
Mhm.
in the West. And that's kind of remarkable because like this roster is not different unless you count Gabe Vincent being healthy as like a meaningful change, or Torian Prince being gone being a meaningful change. Like it really to me is th- it's so risky to say like, oh, JJ Redick's got him like working perfectly and stuff. It's it's been a few games, but it is
Grant,
pretty
I'm
clear.
sorry to interject, but JJ Redick was watching film at the car wash.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
He's locked in until
What a
this team is
sicko.
locked in.
I bet I've watched NBA film like getting my oil changed before. I'm not an NBA coach. I'm not impressed. So I think he's at least got the big stuff handled. And a lot of it was sort of as advertised, where Anthony Davis is going to touch the ball early and often. It's going to be, we'll give it to him and it'll move and he'll get it back. Like just more touches is the highest usage rate he's had since like 16, 17, when he was just really the guy with the Pelicans. His scoring average is up over 30. The shot profile's not like, this is the other thing. You look at the Lakers year over year numbers and really like they're just making more shots. Like their shot profile is not super different. It's just the offense looks smoother. Anthony Davis is making more shots. He's taking more shots. He's more involved. Austin Reeves looks basically like the handcuffs came off. And I do
Right.
think that's like what I do feel confident in is that JJ Redick so far looks like he's just got a better handle on like what the priorities need to be for an NBA team than Darvin Ham did. And that might just be like, that's an unfair comparison because Ham might just go down as like, that guy was just not a good NBA coach or not a good head coach. And Redick is just kind of average. But the contrast is such that it makes Redick seem like, oh my God, he's got it wired. He's figured it out. And like, he's definitely putting forth that detail oriented, like hyper intense, competitive demeanor so far. And that sort of helps, that like adds to the not the legend, but something like that. But yeah, it just seems to me like the Lakers, as long as Davis is going to be like this version of himself, kind of a fully actualized two-way superstar, and is being like not pushed to be that, but certainly like enabled by the scheme and the coach and all that other stuff, then I think you've got to view the Lakers as, right there, even though they just lost this most recent game, like with the Suns, where it's like, I don't know if they're top four, but they're also not like a 9-10 seed. I don't think. I think they look much more dangerous, and most of that's Davis. And some of it really is a guy like Reeves just kind of looking more like we thought he would a couple years ago.
Yeah, I do. In the macro, we'll see how this take ages. I think they're way better than we expected. And it's kind of been more than just the low-hanging fruit, though, right? Because by the way, they're still not taking enough threes. I don't know if they have the personnel to actually take more threes. But they're actually offensive rebounding. That's a big deal.
A big one. Yeah.
And like cutting down on the turnovers, that's also been a big deal for them offensively. I think they've dropped their turnover percentage by a full point compared to last season. Again, we have to see if this holds. What's fascinating to me the most, aside from just the Austin Reeves dynamic, is Anthony Davis. It's not even, he shot well on long twos, but his mid-range percentage, the frequency, right where it's basically been, the percentage is still sub 40% overall because he's been struggling from the short mid-range area. I just look at him and it feels, this might have been kind of a duh thing to do. So maybe it wasn't the low-hanging fruit, but it wasn't just, they're not only using him. Yeah, the post-up frequency, I believe that is up as well. Elbows, however you want, like the paint touches, those are going to be up. But also getting him to drive, he's gone from like 3.8 drives per 36 to over 6 drives per 36. And what that does is not only put additional rim pressure on defense, now he's just drawing. He's always been pretty good at drawing shooting fouls. He's currently in the 100th percentile of drawing.
That's a huge, like you start looking for like, where are all these extra points coming from this year for him? It's all free throws. Like he's just generating way more free throws. It's a huge difference. You're right about that.
So I think that's super encouraging because I don't know that he's doing anything that you offensively, we know what he is defensively, but he's not doing anything where it's, oh, this is a mega outlier on offense. If you had to pick one, it would probably be, oh, is he going to continue to average almost 13 free throw attempts per game?
Mm-hmm.
No, probably not. But if you get Anthony Davis going downhill, I would think, and I guess you could you manifest any concern about LeBron sometimes feeling a little bit like disengaged? I can't get there. He's still, I mean, like, he's still shooting 39+% on three. I would say if I had to pick a concern, it's not even D'Lo shooting. It's just, we've seen some lineups work outside of their core lineup, but I don't know which secondary lineups that I trust the most. And I understand JJ Redick seems like he's still kind of going through the motions with it. But when you look at what there's been, I guess Gabe Vincent he's kind of had like Colin Sexton vibes on defense to me lately, where it's like, oh, he's really getting into the ball, but like sometimes guys are going right around him anyway.
That's a great comparison.
That is someone that I still have questions for. I think it's been great that they've been, Dalton Connect. I don't think he's played more minutes than I expected. I thought Max Christie would be playing more. Is that more of he hasn't started hitting his threes thing yet? I kind of find myself wondering, are they too dependent on Jackson Hayes? But it's where else are they actually supposed to go? At this point, it's, again, the core lineup just seems fine. Maybe Reeves and Rui Hachimura cool off a little bit, but we've been waiting for Rui Hachimura to cool off for like 2 seasons now, like ever since he arrived from the Lakers. So yeah, I trust this team way more than I did, but I'm still just wondering, like, what is going to be sort of their go-to lineups outside of their core lineup? Because there are some secondary lineups right now. The one where I think if you yank Anthony Davis and throw Jackson Hayes in, like the starters have killed opponents thus far, if I'm not mistaken. All right, is that something that's kind of going to hold? We've seen bad lineups where, you put Gabe Vincent in for D'Angelo Russell and you somehow got way worse on defense. What is going on over there? I'm very interested to just see what JJ Redick continues to test out. And I'm just wondering, I don't know that we have a timetable yet for his return. Does Jared Vanderbilt's availability impact this at all?
I just don't you think that sort of the combination of the principal guys looking better, that lineup, that starting lineup looking like pretty tightly wired, and the team's success and what seems like a pretty ambitious kind of outlook, doesn't that just mean a trade is more likely than maybe it would have? Like, because there's the constant, do the Lakers, is the right guy available to justify giving up, what is it, 3, like 2 in a swap they can trade? I can never remember if it's 3 outright first.
2, so they can give out 2 outright first round picks plus I think 3 swaps.
Okay. Is now the time, and is the guy available to make that trade? Like, that's been a question for like 1.5 seasons basically. And if this is how it's going to look, then I would posit that like it's just more likely that they pull the trigger on a deal like that, because they're a lot closer to being a contender than we thought, or than most, and maybe they thought. I don't know, right? Like, because it doesn't make a trade less likely if you're this good, I would think, if you have all these secondary lineup questions.
No, I think what it might do is make the in-between more likely, to where it's that blockbuster trade always felt like if it's the right player or someone they deem the right player either for now, or they think, okay, we'll get incrementally better now. But if it's, let's just say it's Trae Young, but he's going to be young enough to where he can anchor us with AD past LeBron. I view it as, okay, are they more like, just as an example, because they're reportedly interested in Walker Kessler, would they give up 1 first round pick to get someone like Walker Kessler in here now? Because it's, we think if we improve on the margins, or if we get someone who's really good in this one complementary area, that will put us over the top. I thought that scenario would have been off the table, just because leading into the season, where it's, well, why give up the 1 first round pick if you're just give them all up and make the swing? I think it makes it more likely that they might seek those kind of medium grade.
Got it. So
like upgrades,
less likely Trae Young, Zach LaVine, more likely Kuzma, Kessler, like that kind of, that level of acquisition.
Yeah, maybe, or even just like a Jeremy Grant. And it's even, so when you look at this team though, Grant, this might be a good thing to wrap up. It's not, well, what are you concerned about the most necessarily, but what is even their biggest need, or what archetype of player outside of a star would make sort of the biggest difference here? Is it a Walker Kessler? Is it a Jeremy Grant?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would lean more towards, and this is, maybe this is because you default here for almost anyone, is like another 3-and-D wing, like someone that is going to make open threes and make it so like Rui or LeBron aren't your best options on, the Jason Tatums or that type of player. I mean, maybe Davis is frankly your best option on any of those
That's
types
why
of
I was
guys.
going to ask, everyone's going to say, oh, why would you want to give up a first for Walker Kessler? But if you make Walker Kessler like your base rim protection guy, and then Anthony Davis is the guy who's insulating everyone else on the perimeter, which by the way, he's basically that guy anyway.
Right. Yeah. At least he doesn't have to do both going forward. Yeah. No. Okay. The Lakers are really interesting. Like in a genuine way, not in a way that like we must speak about the Lakers. That's a positive.